Commissioner Jones, would you give the invitation?
Sure. Dear Jesus, thank you for this day. Thank you for allowing us to come before you and just represent the people, Lord. I pray that all things are cordial tonight, and that you give us wisdom to know how to make the decisions that affect the people, Lord, and that we can just make this county as good as we can, Lord. Amen.
Amen. All right, before we approve the agenda, an item did pass out of health and emergency services on Monday, as far as this contract or a proposal from the volunteer fire departments that I guess is, I'm going to add that to the agenda as new business item E. There's no objection. And that's it. Anybody else? Anything else? All right. No objections. If I get the motion by Commissioner Miller, second by Commissioner Shope. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right. Approval of minutes from January and February 10th, 2025. Typo. Have a motion.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Jones, second by Commissioner Miller. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right. Motion carries. Recognition of the public. Mr. Curtis Williams, if you wouldn't mind coming up and stating your name and address for the record, please, sir.
Hello, my name is Curtis Williams, 1027 Jackson Heights, Millersville, Tennessee. Just a quick note, this was a contract. Some people want to call it MOU. They don't really care, I don't think. This is pretty much born out of, there was a law attorney opinion that they did not want to do any capital investments through the county, because when you purchase something directly for a fire department, that could be construed as some type of oversight or liability. So that's the whole purpose of this, is so to make sure that the county has no liability, but also that the fire departments continue to get a large apparatus and capital funding that they need. This is just a way for them to be able to go to a bank and say, hey, this is the funding we're getting, this is what we can afford, this is the fire truck or vehicle that we need. A lot of these departments are running equipment that's 25, 30 years old. NFPA says they can only be 15 years old in order for them to get rated for ISO. So in order for them to keep their low ISO ratings, they're going to have to replace some of these older vehicles. Thanks.
All right, thank you, Mr. Williams. All right. Anybody else? Seeing none, I'll close public comments. Commissioner Jones did forget something without objection. I wanted to add a certificate of recognition for the Station Camp Wrestling Team. So I'm going to add that as item D, if I can get a motion to move into
10D.
10D, like I said, 10D. Motion by Commissioner Shope, second by Commissioner Miller. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right.
Thank you, guys. Hey, who was it? Station Camp Wrestling Team.
Station Camp Wrestling. Did we do them last year?
We did, and they had an even better year this year. So I couldn't believe it.
All right, before the chairman, I have none. For the county mayor, does it look like he's in attendance tonight? All right, old business. Item A, discussion, property assessors appraisals and election boundary concerns. We have Mr. Hurt here tonight. I'll make a motion to suspend the rules. Second by Commissioner Miller. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? We can ask Mr. Hurt any questions. I did give you another attachment of the email that Mr. Hurt had responded to this afternoon, and didn't know if you wanted to say anything after Mr. Hurt or all, or I mean, like staying on its own. I don't want to.
Yeah, it's pretty self-explanatory in that email.
Where is that?
I had any questions?
Gotcha.
I don't.
Would you mind coming up here? He's got some questions.
Oh, I mean, I can ask questions. I mean, I did a little bit of digging with our IT department on this one, not a ton of digging, but at the end of the day, both our IT director and I haven't looked at the data, but we don't think that $6,000, and I don't want to take him out of context here, but that sounded pretty ridiculous to us. I mean, it's a parsing job, and I think after speaking with him, we could probably do this in-house. It's just at least we could take a chop at parsing this data in-house. It's just whether or not we want to make it a priority for our IT department to do it. And I don't want to sign them up for work that they, without them, but they're, Mr. Isbell isn't here, but my estimate and an initial discussion, with them is that we think we could probably do it ourselves, which would alleviate any need, to, pay this group. That's the, base of this, like, razor thin investigation I did on it, so.
That would be awesome. Let us know what you have ready.
Mr. Jones?
I just wanted to ask Commissioner Shelp a question on where he's headed back, because I have something else to say about it. Are you talking about the $6,000 option or the $37,500 option because the $6,000 option was to turn on the PDFs. And if that was the case.
No, this is parsing the data. So this would mean that, sorry, you didn't get a chance to finish.
Well, explain parsing, I guess,
So,
and then I'll go further.
The data is in some kind of, and I don't know exactly what it is, whenever you get a large data set, it will have some kind of format to it. There are a lot of different types of format. Maybe it's in something called JSON.
I think it's SQL, isn't it?
Could be.
It is.
And that makes it even simpler, really. I mean, SQL is a type of database, but there are a lot of different ways in which the data itself is structured. So at the end of the day, we would just have to parse it. So
Explain parse.
Parse means whenever a computer reads something, it's going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then there will be maybe some pipes. And then it'll say A, B, C, D, E, F, G. So you have to build an algorithm that goes in and searches for the pipes and says, okay, here's these pipes. Everything between sets of pipes is going to go into this little bucket. Everything between, these 4 pipes are going to go into this bucket. So that's kind of how it's structured. You just have to kind of do it. And this is one of these. This is what I hope Elon and his people are doing, right? Like, that's ridiculous. It's $37,000 is absolutely ridiculous to do that. So it's not that big of a job to do. And I would imagine we can do it with some open source software. I'm just certain we can. But but there's still, it's still time, right? It's still time that I say, that's $37,000 is ridiculous, but it doesn't mean that it's zero work. It's work for a human being they have to do.
So your solution would get us to the Excel type format to be able to look at this.
Yeah, you would. What you would do is you would.
Because you don't want it in PDF format. That's useless.
You would parse it and you would dump it into a database. You would create a database that is structured so that it reads like address here and here. Just like,
so we could filter, look through, search it.
Then you would dump it in, if you wanted to.
Sort it and all that. You
could do what's called a report, and you pull a report, and the report is an Excel database, or an Excel document. Honestly, I could probably do it, but I don't want to get into that type of, I shouldn't, right? We have the skill sets, I guarantee you, in our IT department to do this. It's a matter of how much time we want to inflict on them to get it done. It's my assessment. It's a man-hour thing.
So
I would imagine it's not a huge lift, but I wouldn't want to say that without looking at it, right? Like I haven't seen the data, so I don't know how messy it is. When you get a big dump of data like that, it's typically messy. Sounds like it's nice and structured and easy to put together, but there's always some nuances to it. So I wouldn't want to put an hour amount on it without. That would be inappropriate for me to do without having looked at it. And I shouldn't look at it, right? That's I'm here to vote. I'm not here to look at the data.
I wouldn't be for anything less than that because the PDF solution is useless. We couldn't do anything with a stack of PDFs digitally or paper.
I agree.
So are we not interested in looking at holding them accountable to their contract?
I am, but I have questions. I'm not. So you're saying that this talked to Ron, and he said
it was a brief discussion on the phone. It was
thinks that but that's what I'm just trying to figure out if that is true or not. I guess we need to know if it's true or not, because I know that Mr. Hurd said there was sitting on a county server, no way to read or use it. So if they can do that, I guess we would need to know definitively. But
we would have to ask him to to dig into it.
Right. Well, I think it's 2 motions going to come out of this right now. I did ask the question, how the SQL database that requires a software license reasonable as defined in the contract? In my opinion, it's not. And last month, Mr. Shove, you did bring up a motion to, direct Mr. Sittler to draft a letter to request the county-owned data in a reasonable format. We dropped that, for some reason.
If I can elaborate on that, I started with the interaction that Mr. Hurt had, and I wasn't going to go chasing them for something we might not be aware we already had. So today I've gotten his response, and it's back in my court to go start shaking the tree.
So, and I'm not in the business of like arguing against ourselves here, but there is a good case that they could say, hey, this is in an industry standard format, you should be able to read it. This is all and then we'd be getting into technical semantics in court, which is probably which would probably be a fruitless endeavor, and maybe you win, maybe you don't, but the last thing you want to be doing in front of a judge is arguing about pipe delimited formats.
It's paying $1 to get a dime is what happens.
That's right. So here's a motion I might make on this to where we can avoid that and maybe just do it like just a motion to request from our IT department what a man-hour estimate to parse this data.
Can they do it first? Can
they do it? And then assuming they can, what the man-hour estimate would be. That's my motion.
Is there any more questions for Mr. Hurt, and we'll bring this back in a second?
If I may make a statement, PDFs will not be useless at all. They're a property record card that we are able to print for the public. This is all historical data at this point anyway, and they're no different than all property record cards that we have in filing cabinets in our office. They just get a bit more.
And they are searchable now too. I will say that.
So, PDFs would definitely be useful, just for the record.
All right, we got a motion by Commissioner Shove to, I'm going to restate it.
I'll second it.
Yeah, you got to get your second.
I'm
Any more questions for Mr. Hurt? All right, we'll bring this back in session. The motion was to basically have the IT director, one, see if this can they do it, convert this data into a readable format, and two, what would be required to do that, how long would it take them? Bring up that, you second that motion.
I'll second.
Any discussion on that motion?
Yeah.
Commissioner Teacher.
I was just going to say really quickly, Mr. Chairman. So I remember reading the agreement with Catalyst last month, wasn't it? And it does state they have to give it to us in a readable format.
Reasonable format. Not readable.
Reasonable and readable, I think, would be. I'm not a lawyer, but
It's the contract. It says service provider shall make available client data in a reasonable format.
yeah.
That's the argument here.
And reasonable means readable.
Yeah, it's like, yeah.
It's a matter of
We got a motion, we got a second as to whether this is readable.
Yeah.
Doable. So that's our exploration.
Because realistically, my only point is if they gave it to us in Russian, it wouldn't be reasonable. So therefore, if it's in a different language that our computer speaks, it's not reasonable. That's my only point. And I feel like that it's their problem to give it to us correctly. But
I would argue against that in the sense that if it was in a format that we truly can't read, then it's not readable. And we don't know. It's been said, there's no way to read it or use it. Mr. Shove to talk to so many things they can, so until we definitively know, then we don't know. It might be reasonable.
Okay.
If it's readable.
okay, so the reason why I stated that was because I thought that he was referring to the fact that we could buy a certain software. That's all I meant. So I don't think we should buy anything. I think they should give it to us.
Correct.
That's all.
That's all the motion is. Just make sure it's an IT department. Yeah, we can do it. Here's what it is. All right. Any other discussion? Mr. Jones.
Yeah, I just want to clarify or retract my statement that it's not that it's useless. It's not what we want when we're going to look for PDFs. Is what I'm talking about. If we want to look for sorting and filtering data to look for instances of what happened with certain things in the past. You don't want to do it through PDFs. It would be a lot more difficult, but they would be useful for historical reference.
Yes, for singular PDFs, yes, it would be.
Yeah, yeah. So, I mean, that's what I'm saying. It's not that it's useless. It's just not the direction I want to go with it. That would be.
We need to get any more discussion on this. All right, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right. So we'll,
You said there may be another motion come out of it too. Is there something else you
Well,
want to do with this?
had Mr. Sittler send a letter. We'll wait and see what the results are. We don't, that's all. There's nothing else to do right now.
I'll give it IT tomorrow.
Okay. All right, we're gonna keep that on old business. Item B, discussion taking legal action against Brown Technology Trust and trustees for failure to disperse funds intended for the county and Brown Health. I thought this was removed last month, and it wasn't. I was hoping the county mayor would be here to give us an update on the Vanguard. Obviously, no action to take on this, and
I believe we kept it on there, and it may have been a miscommunication on our part, but the fact that it hasn't actually been dispersed yet.
correct. And as of today, it still has not been dispersed. So I guess without objection, we'll keep it on for next month. But Monday afternoon, the water record did forward to everybody that Vanguard had transferred the account name over to the county mayor. I know, at least the letter we received. And that county mayor said they were going to be sending a check, and the email from Mr. McCord in 5 to 7 days. So that would be next week, I guess.
From Tuesday. That was from Tuesday.
So it's going to be next week before that check is cut. It should be. So I guess we'll just wait and see like we always are, but that's the only update I have on that, Commissioner T.
One question about that. So in the email chain I was reading, it seemed that county mayor, wish he were here, but it seemed that the county mayor said that there was no way for Vanguard to calculate the interest.
Yeah, I don't understand that one.
Well, no one does, but, I mean, it's Vanguard, you know, it's not CarMax. So I was like, I don't know what, I'm just trying to think, that makes 0 sense, just like it's been taken since 2018 to get a next week phone call disbursement. But that's a whole another issue that drives me crazy about the slowness of the government of Sumner County. And so I just, it really irks me that we have citizens that have to get involved and take this long of their time for anybody who is an elected official. I'll put myself in there, any of us, if it takes that long to do something that is requested and supposed to happen, I can't understand it. And so I don't want it to come over here at all until it's whatever's supposed to happen with, I don't care, but whatever Mr. Brown wanted to happen, I want that to take place, and then once that finally happens, I'm okay with it coming on.
Can I get a motion for discussion?
Motion discussion.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? No. Tim?
You done?
No, Tim, get his hand up.
I'm the last one to speak, okay? Nobody else getting the
Call the
cue.
question.
So, no, you're gonna wanna hear this. So, I'll make it eloquent. I understand why it may be difficult to calculate if it was $500,000 tied into the technology trust of $8 million, because how do you split that apart? It grows at different rates if it's in a big amount. But we've already been told that $500,000 was in a separate account, 3 separate accounts. If that is indeed true, that should be very easy to look at how long it's been there and what the rates were doing while it was there.
Unless they weren't being truthful and it was mixed in and they just got moved a couple months ago, last year.
That's why I want to press a little bit on this to see why.
Logical.
That's why I want to press on that and see why it's uncalculable based on what we've been told. How do we do that? How do we ask that question? How do we make that into a motion? I want an action to come out of this because I said 2 months ago that I wanted a forensics audit on where that $500,000 tracked from during this whole time. How do we find out why that's incalculable?
I don't have an answer to your question. Anybody have an answer to that question? Commissioner,
I make a motion that we, have our law director,
I know he's gonna say it before you make his motion, but I'm gonna let him say it.
okay, let's say it before I make the motion, that way I don't have to make the motion.
Well, I can talk to David Long about it. Ask him to talk to David Long about it.
I just wanted to say, I was gonna make the motion that he look into it for us and just find out what it is. He can make the request, just.
Without,
Go ahead and explain why you won't be able to do that.
I don't do that.
without a motion, can I just ask him a favor? Make it simple. The mayor's going to, David Long, he would be to try to ask how to calculate the reasonable amount.
It'll be right there. What rules again?
Do we suspend the rules,
Yes.
President? Motion to suspend the rules.
Perfect, yeah. No. All right, motion carries. Commissioner Sheriff,
I had a question for you. You may already be aware of this or not. The mayor said that he spoke with Vanguard about the $500,000 coming from the Brown Trust. And he said Vanguard told me that they do not have the capacity to calculate the interest. I'll talk to David this afternoon about how we can calculate a reasonable amount for that interest. He said, okay, so my question is, if I would understand that statement if the $500,000 was tied into an $8 million technology trust over so many years, and how do you split it apart because they grow at different rates and all that? But we've already been told that $500,000 was separate from that $8 million, and it was in 3 different accounts during that period of time.
My understanding.
Why was it so difficult to calculate?
And that'd be a question for the mayor. My understanding is they were on several different accounts.
3. We thought it was 3 different accounts.
At least for several years, but when he talked to me, what looks like the most reasonable way to calculate the interest, and what he mentioned made sense. He took the average balance, the amount of interest earned for that year, and back into the annual rate.
Yeah.
Take the annual rate and divide it into a monthly rate and the number of months outstanding for each year and add that in.
I was just about to get.
That's what he mentioned. That sounds the most reasonable way to do it.
That's fine, but I still have the question of why is it incalculable? If it's been separate from that big account the whole time, it should be very calculable because you see the rates during those years.
The only thing I can say is when I looked at some of it several years back, for just a few minutes, somebody asked me a question. The mayor had to see a statement, then it would be difficult to determine what portion earned what.
That's one thing that it would be difficult, but if it was mixed, that's a legal problem. It was never supposed to be mixed.
That's a question for the mayor if it's mixed. I would assume it was all mixed into the account. I've never heard anybody saying it was in a separate account. That's,
The mayor told us, how many months ago? It was in 3 separate accounts.
but if it was in 3 separate accounts,
Okay, well, he might have meant the entire $8 million is in 3 separate accounts.
that's what I'm guessing, because I remember seeing multiple accounts, and there was different investments that were bought at premiums and discounts. They weren't like investments you would see in the trustee's office because they're not,
They bought a portfolio.
right, they're not like, our trustee's office is limited on what they can buy in CDs, certain things. They have more lucrative investments, so there's gonna be different things in there.
It's doubtful that the $500,000 was sitting here and the $7.5 million or whatever sitting here. In 2017, they mixed them all together, and it's just been tough.
I don't think, I think what he's saying is the case. I don't think the other's the case.
I think the path of least resistance here is you expressed a rate they were gonna calculate. Is the committee satisfied with that rate adjustment?
Yeah.
And I don't think we need to be chasing, as long as it's what they presented, then.
Because it's a dollar for a dime, right?
Yeah.
Like, we're gonna try to get super granular for, like, we don't need to, right? As long as we're within some reasonable margin of error.
I'm not getting super granular about money. I want the truth on where the money has been. And if statements like that are made, I want it explained, because that helps me find out where the money's been. But I'm satisfied with the reasonable rate over that period of time.
If he comes up with a reasonable rate, any unders or overs you could possibly even, it's going only in those 2 places. It's going to the county, or it's going back to a trust where kids are going to use to buy educational equipment.
Nobody's gonna argue.
It's not going to go out to some public use.
That's good. All right, I'm gonna raise back in the session.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna keep that under old business for, April.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Mr. Law Director.
8A, you also had election boundary concerns. We didn't touch on that. Is there anything we need to do?
Part of this, email in the packet I had you guys printed out, Commissioner Rogers says I will not have an update until May at best. I know that Portland has not informed me of the corrections on the map. So,
You want that to stay old business?
yeah, I mean, the whole thing, stay on business because we gotta wait next month. We got a motion for, the IT department to check out this, so yeah. All right, new business, item A, Veteran Service Report and Presentation. Mr. Oakley.
Good evening. The report kind of captures the same kind of, we've been helping out a lot of widows, we've been helping out a lot of veterans. We had the Bronze Star guy that we talked about in the emails included, he actually came in today because he had to sign up for his property tax relief. And, he made a funny comment at the end. He said, this is the best trip to a government building I've ever had in my life. So not everything's wrong in Sumner County government, for those of you who are worried. I put a letter in that came from the VA. They've been pushing this out, especially our elderly veterans that are getting targeted by these scammers. So it's not just us who are targeting this. The VFW's got a very big public outreach that they've been doing. So I haven't found new evidence of scam victims, but I know they're out there. We had a discussion with a veteran today who had gotten approached by a company that was charging him thousands of dollars to do stuff that was just going to be trouble for him. And also to get some, completing my service, I got some more mail from Mr. Show. So we do everything we can for our veterans. Any questions?
No. Thank you, Mr. Oakley. I appreciate you. All right. Item B, Judicial Commissioners 2024 Annual Report, and this is for docketing purposes only, right?
Correct.
All right, do we even take a motion on this to send it to the full commission? I don't think we do. I'll make a motion.
Yeah, might as well, because it's gotta be there.
All right, we got a motion, got a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right. Item C, bond approval for finance director.
Motion.
Got a motion by Commissioner Show to approve, second by Commissioner Miller. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right. Item D is a resolution for rescinding actions and authorizing the number of members on the Sumner County Library Board to be restored back to 9 from 11 members. Is there a motion? Motion. Second. Got a motion.
That's your
Second
second.
by Commissioner Miller, second by Commissioner Show. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, 4-0.
I'm for this. I'm going to state this for the record. It is sad to me that we had two people, and I've spoken with both of the folks who were nominated by the Committee on Committees. I've spoken with Mr. Ray a couple times, and it's very clear to me, in my opinion, that the reason that these folks are not getting appointed is pure tribalism. That's my opinion. And there's questions of qualifications. I got a question from somebody who's not a constituent about a qualification of somebody that I appointed. There's just this visceral attacking of people who are throwing their names in a hat, and it's sad. I don't like it. All I said, we tried 3 times to get these folks. Let's just bring it down to 9. Leave it at 9. I don't think it's going to go any further. I don't think we're going to get these guys who are very qualified and who want to serve the community. I think it's very sad. But I also, if we tried to do something 3 times, we can't get it done 3 times. Let's just move it back down to 9 and call it a day. That's my opinion.
Anybody else have a comment? I'll just say that I wrote this resolution. Tried to do this back then. I'm glad you brought the tribalism, and the previous county mayor, Anthony Holt, and law director Lee Denon increased it from 9 to 11 and got the commission to go along with it. Myself, Commissioner Matt Taylor, and Commissioner Miller Hyde voted against that, increasing the numbers. We thought it was a bad idea. It's like you don't need, and their reasoning at the time was people weren't showing up to the meetings, so let's increase the numbers and get more people on there. So when you just replace the people, that was the argument at the time, and what it still should be. So it was, there's a lot of statistics as well, like why you should move it back to 9. I mean, we're the only county, I think, in the state our size almost, or one of them that has this many library board members, and most, everybody has like 25 and 7, and it's a couple of 9s, like, so it's excessive. It was an excessive number, and they did it. But it definitely was interesting to see the I would have support to get it down and back down to 9. And he wasn't going to support it, but now that it's the shift to get it back down to 9, I just find it fascinating because all the, for lack of better words, all liberals were screaming that they wanted it at 11, not 9, and that's pretty much the majority of the people that wrote into us. Nasty, vitriol, very just nasty, defamatory comments, mainly directed towards me. So it was just, it's interesting, you know, because I try to use a logical process like data and everything for this. So I'm for this. I understand the reason why it's happening now. It's not hard to see the politics involved and everything about politics. So I have a problem with that. You know, it is what it is. It's finding interesting to see what's happening with this. The bill that Commissioner Hyde and Commissioner Harrison asked William Langworth to carry to remove people from boards and committees, and bypassing kind of Robert's rules or local rules, just with a 2/3 majority. And so that was interesting, coupled with Commissioner Wynn's resolution that he put on everybody's desk, falsely accusing the library chairman and vice chairman of basically malfeasance because of somebody else not carrying out a policy that, you know, doing their job. And so when you look at everything that I still don't think having 11 members is the best thing. So I'm going to support moving this forward to the full commission. But I am making those comments on the record, my observations of the shenanigans that I've seen take place behind the scenes on this. And the hypocrisy and double standards, in my opinion, is really what it comes down to. On you're not getting your way one time, one way, so you want to keep it 11. You're not getting your way the second time, so you want to put it to 9. And I'm just going to leave it at that. So, Commissioner Jones.
So that's what I have a problem with, the coordinated effort that I see going on. I can't see the strategy of why the timing's all falling into place as it is, along while this bill's running at the state level and it's due to come to the floor this month. How that plays out is going to affect all of this because of the coordination, and I don't know the strategy and the math, and for that reason, I probably won't be voting on this because I kind of want to see it play out before we make decisions that may help with whatever actions they're trying to do. It doesn't seem right that it's timed together and the people that were pushing it seem to be all aligned, but that yet they were against it last year and a half ago. And so, for that reason, I'm probably not going to vote on this, but, you know, if it passes, it passes. But I just want to see how it plays out.
Anybody else have any?
I'll move to approve, or I'll move to approve to reduce to 11, from 11 to 9. That's my motion.
All right, I'll second it. Commissioner Deacon.
Just one quick question about it. The quorum. That's really what we're talking about, regardless of all the other things that are going on. Is there a benefit for the people of Sumner County, for it to still stay at 6 as a quorum.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, there's all kinds of strategy there. Can I speak to that?
Great.
That's my problem with it. The makeup of the board, as people roll off the board, it could get less and less conservative faster with lower numbers. That's what I don't like seeing play out here. There's targets being put on people's backs with this state bill that's being asked for by members of our commission to target people. So I don't like that, and I'm watching who's due to roll off those boards, and then I'm looking at the board, at the bill that if passed into law can take people out without due process. That's just not right. And so I don't know where they're going with all that, and the math in my head doesn't look good, and I'm not an expert on all that, but it just doesn't seem right, so that's why I'll probably abstain from this.
Exactly what they want to do is get rid of the chairman of the lobby board. But actually, Commissioner Stokes was the one that found the chairman and was the one that kind of put her forward. But that's what it's about. That's what the new bill's about. That's what extremely hypocritical. It's extremely two-faced. But I would have supported it down to 9 in December 2023.
Here's the thing. I mean, we're veering from policy into politics now, this is the truth. But I haven't really paid that much attention to this thing that's going on in the state, but I mean, what I know of it, I have a conviction. And it won't just happen here in Sumner County. It will be used exactly as you all would expect to wipe certain boards. And all the time, yeah, with come in, he's just gone. And so what and the reason that these boards have been set up to be staggered in different places is to avoid that, so that you have some semblance of like orderly turnover, and so it's going to cause chaos.
Mm-hmm.
I don't disagree with that. But I also know this, and this gets to the point of, the broader point here. Nature is self-correcting. It is self-correcting. What is clear to me with this library thing is, and other things here, you've got these warring kind of factions, and they, it's not just kind of two fronts. I mean, it's easy to look at it that way, but what they will do is utilize whatever levers they can in order to drive whatever kind of policy they want to drive, which is to some degree normal. But well, it's they is all of us, right? They is any different group of people who have a belief on something or another. And so we all do this. This is politics, like you said, Mr. Chairman. It's politics, and if you really want to drive a conservative agenda forward on a library board or whatever board, we should do things that the majority of the people in Sumner County, benefit. And that, at the end of the day, is where the power still comes to the people. If the people vote this commission out, then, and with a totally different group of people, then the people have decided that they want a different library board. The people have decided that, not us. That's what the people wanted. And so, if we want to keep things driving forward, that's how things. That is a Republican form. It's not a direct democracy. So a group appoints boards. So if you want to do that, that's what the people want. You can't keep boards forever.
Well, I'll disagree a little bit. I mean, you had 350 or 80 people vote writing for 2 people, and you had 100 people writing against it, and the commission didn't listen to the people. So it's not always that way. I mean, it's not always true in that regard. So, I mean, the voice of the people is disregarded.
in that instance, so. Mr. Jones?
I've just been told time and time again that our state reps won't get involved in local issues, and here they are getting involved in local issues that they picked. I'm not going to vote tonight to help them do that. They know what the plan is. They're helping it happen, and they understand the backstory of it. The timing is, it's just there. They know it. I mean, I've talked to them. They know.
I mean, and we're getting into a thing here, but like, look, we're here for a particular period of time. We can't, like Mr. Hyde has said many times, what one commission does, another commission can overturn. What's going on at the state is basically how quickly a commission can do it. But, you know, we appoint the people that are there for the amount of time they're there. So if you're really thinking about this down the pipe, if you're really thinking about this down the pipe and you're saying, hey, I'm concerned that that a board is going to be changed over at some point in the future, what difference does it make if it's 9 or 11 other than the, you know, the number of people, with names that have to get signed up for it and adding a bit of quorum? Just go with what makes sense. It used to be 9. It's been 9 for a long time. I was happy with it 9. I'm happy with it 11. We tried to put good people on there. It is absolutely tribalism that is keeping these people off of there, 100%. But there's no reason to keep it at 11. It's just, I mean, all we're going to do is continue this churn. Nothing's going to happen. Nothing's going to get done. And then whatever's going to happen in a year or 2 years or whatever the state's going to do, that's going to happen regardless. So, I mean, we can keep those, we can talk about those things, but at the end of the day, 2 extra people on the board isn't going to change anything. Because they're not going to get appointed. I mean, that's the truth.
My only argument, can I go?
Sure, we need to wrap it up.
My only argument would be that 2 maybe different people may get appointed that may satisfy more people to replace what we all feel is going to be the taking out of 2 people before their term is up. It's not a true statement that you made that we appoint people that get to serve till their role is done. If this law passes, there will be people taken out before their term is up without due process.
So what difference does 2 make then anyway?
Because 2 more could carry over the
They'll get wiped out too.
political leanings of the board. It is tribalism in politics.
I mean, if they want conservatives out, you appoint 2 more conservatives, and that bill passes, and, I mean, you just have to.
Doesn't matter.
So just get rid of those 2 as well.
We know that the last 2 probably are not going to get appointed. We don't know that the next 2, if they're different people, may or may not get appointed. I just wanted an opportunity to possibly try, but nonetheless, let the will of the committee be done. I just have a real issue voting to help them do that when I see reducing the number as possibly helping them do that.
Any more discussion? All right. All fair say aye.
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 Let's stay.
Any opposed? All right, so you vote?
I haven't voted, I'm trying to think if I want
Did
to.
you vote?
No.
I'm struggling.
So, I guess the motion is, it fails. You had 1 abstention, 2 non-votes.
I'll vote yes.
Okay, motion passes. Motion passes.
I'll go ahead and vote yes too, because I feel like that I
So
would.
1 abstention and 4 yes.
Successful.
All right. We'll go with the full commission.
I'm not sure how I'm going to vote in full commission.
I'm not upset at you guys.
It'll get brought up from the floor anyway.
It's a difficult place.
All right, item E, we did add, if you guys will go to your handout, this was a month-long I guess, started last May, volunteer fire department ad hoc, with this contract, and it went through a couple months through volunteer ad hoc, went to HMS. This all got sent to budget, got rejected from budget. I'm not sure why it came back, but here it is again. So, Mr. Law Director, do you want to speak to this with,
This is here because the contract wasn't reviewed, but it was my understanding that it wasn't approved out of HEMS and that it was gonna go to budget to be treated as it had customarily been treated, which was a nonprofit contribution. So we're here, I guess, to review the contract, which I reviewed multiple times in the past. We can attack this a couple of different ways. I've got a memo that's part of the attachment. This is the packet that was in AGMS.
You want to,
brought it here.
If that's in your handout you have,
It's the one you sent it out here.
that's,
Correct.
right here, this page, guys. You got the
And
memorandum of-
I tried to succinctly put it, what my position was on taking this route.
So, what is, your motion discussed? Yeah, second. All those for that? Any opposed?
We can talk about the MOU first, we can just go right into the contract.
What
Or
would you
my
like?
interpretation.
I'm gonna let you,
There's a lot going on.
well, there is a lot going on here, but I can simplify it in my mind, but it seems, well, I'll summarize.
Okay.
You can correct me. From your memorandum, there's really two options here, based on your memorandum, and my interpretation, and you correct me if I'm wrong, is fire tax districts or nonprofit donation. Is that pretty much a summation of this?
Yes.
So, I don't understand the need, I've heard all the arguments for this, but I don't agree with them for having this contract, because it doesn't do anything. If it's a nonprofit donation, the nonprofit donation is treated like all other nonprofit donations. But I'm curious, you mentioned in HMS that you have opinions on this.
On the contract
On the
itself?
contract itself, so yeah.
Yeah, if you all want to look at the contract, that they title it a donation agreement, but that doesn't change the fact that this is a contract. It says insert fire department name here, so by the way the money's split up, there would need to be a separate one for each volunteer fire department. It's got us mislabeled as a corporation, we're not.
I'm gonna make a motion to reject it just because there are a lot of changes that need to come back.
There are.
For it to be like,
I don't think there's a contract that can suffice that doesn't put us into what I referenced in the MOU, which is we're going to indirectly take on some liability here that we're just gonna have to create at a minimum, the county fire marshal, and by doing that, we've just accepted a buttload of responsibility.
So, before you make your motion, I'm on track with you. I just want to kind of outline, I've had these notes for a long time, several years, in studying this issue. There are four options if citizens who live in the unincorporated areas want fire protection. Four. Number one, it's part of the current model, but it's a pure model. It's the VFDs are funded strictly through donations. That's like, and if everybody who actually lived in the unincorporated parts actually donated to those departments, they would be funded, adequately funded. That's like the purest model. We're not doing that. We do, as a county, option number two, where the VFDs continue to have the county, which includes city and unincorporated residents, fund through charitable contributions. So citizens do fundraising, they do marketing campaigns you're supposed to be doing, and get donations, and then the county obviously gives a nonprofit charitable contribution. We're doing model number two right now. And third model that I've researched, talked to the state about, and talked to the lawyers at the comptroller's office and our state representatives. It's kind of two ways. A county can become a public utility, such as Blount County, and for that to happen, and that's in this packet from Mr. Schiller, it was in the HMS packet, I researched all this, is that you would have to change state law, because Blount County is the only one bracketed to be a public utility, but their own independent fire department, independently operating, that's what Blount County does, and they can also get federal grants as a public utility themselves. Or you can do a subscription-based model, and I know the city of Collins in Knox County does that as they moved, and there are a lot of entities throughout the nation that do a subscription-based model, whereas the fire department, it's incumbent upon the fire departments to reach out to their communities to give solicit the donations, but informing people like, hey, we're going to charge you, everybody $200 a year. This is a subscription, easy base. But if you don't join and you take the risk and your house catches fire and we have to come, we're going to charge you $3,000. Like, that's like a published document, like Torrance does that, or it might be $4,000. Like, that's what you're going to be charged. And that's a subscription-based model, which is, it's a capitalistic model. It's like, hey, you pay what you get for it. So, I don't think anybody can complain about that. And then the fourth model is the fire tax districts, which is only for the unincorporated residents. It is not city, and it would increase the tax burden in the unincorporated areas astronomically. I actually had an email from Commissioner Deanna Witt back in 2019 about this, which she admitted, and she said literally in that email that fire tax districts would generate an enormous pushback from county residents, enormous pushback. So that is not palatable for most people. So option number two, that fire departments are raising funds, the county's donating to a nonprofit voluntary model, seems to be what's most palatable for people. And looking back, this fiscal year, 24-25, we gave our volunteer fire departments $230,000 more than we did last year, bringing the total up to $680,000, up from the $450,000. And that's a 52% increase in funding this year over last year. And if you were to take that $680,000 and average it out over the 13 stations, that's $52,000 per station. We have 13 of them. So a year ago, basically, we were taking $450,000, 312 of which we were splitting evenly amongst 13 departments, and then $138,000, which brings us up to it's like a kitty that they all came together themselves, and they determined what their capital projects and needs are. Like Shackle in 1 year got $48,000 for a generator that I don't think they ever bought. But that was a part of that process. I mean, that's up to them to do whatever they want to do with it. I mean, we're not involved in that process because it's the nonprofit donation. It's no different than giving to Ashley's Place or the Sumner County Museum. I mean, it's a nonprofit donation. So, if you were to average out what they were getting, it was about $35,000 per station. If you were to take that 138, 312, roughly, approximately, and now we're up to, I'm going to average this out. Again, I know that's not how it's necessarily being distributed, but I'm just saying, if you're averaging it out, 13 is $52,000. One thing that we did do permanently in this last budget cycle, it was something I tried to do back in 2018, February 2019, was when the county, they switched to the new radio system, and they were charging the volunteer fire departments for that software service, and I tried to get them exempt from that, and the whole previous commission wouldn't do it. Thankfully, we did this budget cycle and the budget committee, and permanently have relieved them of $30,000 of paying the emergency management agency's radio fees that were eating into those donations, because basically that $450,000 they were minusing out that $30,000+ dollars. Now that's been taken away. They've gained that back, but what I would like to propose is to...
Can I interject one more quasi-option that I came across in reading AG opinions, which they actually reference one in their contract I couldn't find, but they're also, the counties can enter into agreements with existing municipality agencies that have their fire departments, and they can contract to cover unincorporated areas, increase their footprint based on contributions from the county. So that's another method that I've seen of late that has circulated in some opinions. I'm not saying we want to entertain it, but that is another option.
You're saying where the county is paying the municipalities?
So there's an agreement entered into to get coverage outside of the municipality.
We're calling it donations, we're donating to Westmoreland's city fire department.
It's a nonprofit?
We call it a nonprofit, we actually have it labeled as a busy department.
Yeah, you wanna spin the rules?
So maybe.
I'll bring you out.
I believe it's Westmoreland because they actually go outside and sit, they actually go outside and see.
Did it?
They decided to donate to them, and when we do nonprofit donations, we make you give us your tax filing for the nonprofit, they couldn't provide it, so that's when we started talking, they are a city department that we give these money to.
Do we have a contract or anything executed
We
with
just donated to them, and they agreed to cover, but they always have covered the.
Who was that?
Surrounding unincorporated areas, the city of Westmoreland.
So my understanding of the Westmoreland was that it was a volunteer fire department, but the city of Westmoreland was giving money to fund that volunteer fire department, as well as us, so.
I believe they're a city.
I've never understood it, to be honest, I'd be curious to know what.
I was back on my notes, but I think that's the way it was, but I could be mistaken.
I'll bring somebody to session, Commissioner Dick.
Yes, I was just gonna ask, I'll make a statement you direct me to this. It's my understanding that the quasi option offered by our law director is just a possibility also, that there's only a certain distance they can go. Like this, I don't know, I think I read somewhere that it's like a certain amount of distance. I might be wrong on that.
I didn't come across one, but
Okay, then
obviously they're not gonna go beyond what limits their coverage of their own city, so it probably isn't too far.
We kind of already do that.
That's another.
There's MOUs with all the volunteers, they're kind of already doing that. I'd like to hear your option, Mr. Chairman.
Well, I don't, I guess, agree with this, document. I know it's got problems, but, my motion is going to, just reject the document. But I do, in the second part of the motion is propose that, we recommend to the Budget Committee, that we restructure the current nonprofit allocation process to get rid of the $312,000 plus the $138,000, this separate digging, and then instead do a simple nonprofit donation allocation to each department for $90,000 a year with no other pots of money. So each station gets $90,000 a year. And that they can do whatever they want to with it, each station, they're independent. And that's a 72% department, increase over this past year, taking them from $680,633 to $1,170,000 total, shared equally amongst all 13 stations that are there. That's my motion. Second. I think you got a motion, got a second, any discussion?
I mean, I may or,
It's a recommendation to extend the budget.
Yeah, no,
So it's
I mean,
not-
we can send it, I may pass this just because I'm kind of like you on the previous one. I'll probably be for it to send it to budget, but I don't know that I'm necessarily, because I want to do the numbers. I just don't know if it's feasible or not, but you know what, that's fine, because we'll take a look at it at budget, so I'll pass it, but I am noting that I may not agree with the amount.
So that gets so again, to restate my motion, is to reject this contract. It's a nonprofit donation, treated like everybody else, not a contract. And to, basically eliminate that current nonprofit donations allocation of 24 per station per year, and then splitting it with $138,000. I mean, that's two different ways. Eliminate that and go to a straight $90,000 a year to each station. And we're proposing that to budget for funding for a total of $1,170,000. And that was my motion. So I'm just restating that for you, Mr. Law Director. Mr. Teacher.
Just gonna say really quickly, just hearing that I like the idea of that, because I wanted to say the reason why I think it should be supported to go to budget, and hope, maybe, if we can keep it where it doesn't raise our taxes, obviously, and if we can keep it within our means, then I think it would be a wonderful thing. And the reason why is because, I mean, everybody I have spoken to, everybody I know, I mean, everyone loves our firefighters. We're thankful for our firefighting community, it's wonderful. But on the other hand, everyone, maybe there might have been one, but I think it's pretty much unanimously, everyone who came to speak on it, or everyone who's contacted me, has been a volunteer fire department member. So there, and I'm not throwing shade at that, I'm just saying that's the truth. so I haven't seen any real, like, they're citizens, you know, I don't mean that strange, but I haven't seen any non-volunteer fire department citizen support as a whole. And so, that's number one. I have had emails or phone calls and personal conversations about no fire tax. And then another thing is like the subscription thing, it's a little bit squirrely at times. There's things about that because I don't even know if they could actually, if they did that, I believe that there wouldn't be any force of law to.
I mean, you put a lien on somebody's house.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just stating the fact.
Well, that's true. Okay, yeah.
That's what happens.
And so, well, that's true. That's a great point. So anyway, all that said.
Stating reality.
All that said, though, I like the idea that we're trying to get a drastic increase. I love your motion. I didn't expect the fact that we could find a way to do it without this agreement. So I was focused on this agreement, but with there not being support from the citizens, I would like to see that go before. And so, because I would like to still fund them more if we can, you know, because that's the whole point. And so, anyway. I just want to give my reasoning for it, for you too, you know, so, if the money's there, I'd like to see it there. So anyway, thank you.
That's my motion to send the budget to the budget cycle.
I'm gonna motion to suspend the rules to, ask
Second.
Mr. Long a question.
Yeah, all fair side. Aye. Opposed, Mr. Long.
You have any feedback on that number?
I'm just saying it's gonna be, compared to the increase in one of your average budget, it's gonna be coming from somewhere.
So it's gonna.
More taxes or if it's coming out of something.
Got it. So,
We're talking basically.
what is the number that we could, I mean, I know this is hard to do. I'm just gonna amend,
I would just say send it to the budget committee and look at the funding.
I'm gonna
We cut 14 million in the first year.
I'm just gonna amend the motion, it may or may not pass, I mean, we'll look at it in budget, but I'm gonna make an amendment just to go with the first part, to reject it, and amend the second part that, yes, send it to budget to find an increase, potentially, that we can
Live with.
that we can manage. That won't raise taxes, that won't, negatively impact other, county operations.
Can I ask a question? In your motion, is it included to keep it the same per fire department, but just a different amount?
Yes, it's just changing the amount. It's
Like
just,
it may drop to 60, may
I'm
75,
literally
maybe 80.
removing the only thing I'm doing is removing the dollar as a stipulation, that's it. Everything else is the same.
Go ahead.
I got a question. I want to say one thing. The one thing I liked about your motion, well, there's some things I like about it, but didn't you say that it would stay the same no matter what across?
Yeah. No, that's the same.
I like that staying the same for the fact that, I mean, out in the places I live, even I'm in the center of the county, so there's places in the far reaches of the county that it may be more difficult for the fire department to get to, and, you know, so it's not subdivisions, you know, in a lot of these places. And so I don't want to cut funding for the folks who have further to go and harder to find, you know, so I want to make sure that's very steady on whatever that is that it winds up being. I would like it to stay the same across all of
I think this is a small ask, so when it's 90,000, I mean, as much money as we
Up
give
to
into the schools over and over and over. Volunteer fire departments or first responders, and not that that's important, but they didn't. Hey guys, can y'all listen?
Sorry, there was a misunderstanding here. Start up, I'm sorry.
So I said, as much money, I think $90,000 is a small ask compared to what we've already given the schools over and over and over. So they're first responders, they're important, they're volunteers, the county people are just as important as people that live in the city that have their city fires. And I think it's a small ask, and I will not be voting to change the amount.
We need to.
Well, there's no shaking anyway, so.
No, yes, did you second his amendment?
Yeah, I second it, but for discussion, I wanted to make sure there wasn't a misunderstanding, and that's what we were talking about. I'm sorry, I interrupted you. It was up to 90,000, not a $90,000 increase. And I think that's
not mine.
Yours was up to 90,000 per department.
No,
Right?
it's not enough.
What was it?
90,000 each department.
That's what I'm saying. Moving,
It's not.
listen to my whole sentence. Moving what they're getting now up to 90,000 instead of where it was not a $90,000 increase from where it was.
Correct.
I wanted to make sure that they understood that. And then I was trying to find a number that was more palatable to be able to.
I would be good, well, my motion is what it is.
All right, you got an amendment.
Yeah, it is.
We got a second. All in favor of the amendment, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? No.
No,
So, did you vote, what did you vote?
I said no.
Oh, we had 4 no's and, yeah, 4-1. Now we're back to the main motion. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? No. We have 4 for it and 1 opposed. All right, that'll, move the budget with that recommendation. Motion to group and approve 10A through D. All in favor, say aye. Or you need a second? Commissioner Miller, all in favor, say aye.
What was D? I just.
Station Camp Wrestling.
Okay.
You weren't here.
Aye.
Motion to group and approve.
I mean, had motion to group and approve the consultant debt, correct?
Does anybody want to discuss that?
Nope, we got a second.
All right, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Motion adjourned.
Second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
5-minute recess.